Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On Point EDC. Today we have a really cool review for you from the brand Civivi. This is actually the first Civivi knife that I've reviewed on the channel, but I've heard a lot of good things. A little bit about the brand. They are actually a subsidiary of We Knives. If you're big into knife collecting right now, you probably have heard of We Knives. Although they are made in China, they're basically known as one of the better factories out there, putting out some really high spec, high quality items. And really proving that you can do things overseas, for a lot less, but still have very high quality, really well done stuff as far as their QC and QA. Now, a little bit about Civivi. They're basically an affordable, quality kind of brand for that really target the EDC crowd. So really they want something that's of course very pocketable. They mainly have a very simple formula for their knives, which is G10 handle scales, skeletonized stainless steel liners, and deep carry pocket clips. And generally, their blade steels are always going to be D2 or this really cool Damascus that they've done for some special editions. Now, this particular type of knife would be, I'd consider, a gentleman's folding knife. And some key common characteristics in design language when you're looking for a gentleman's folder. You're really going to want something that's sleek, kind of has an understated design, and then has some pretty classy handle scales, which I think this really hits the mark. This is the Civivi Exarch. And this is the model with the Damascus blade. So it does also come with a little laminate carbon fiber over the G10. And I think it's really great. I picked this one up from Blade HQ for about 80 bucks. So really good as well as far as that value proposition goes. So with all that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. All right, now before we get into the full-on knife review, let's go ahead and do a quick customary wristwatch check. This is the Formax Essence, and this is actually one that I haven't reviewed for the channel yet, but definitely keep an eye out for it. This thing is insane, absolutely gorgeous. I know some of you are just here for the knife review, but my channel does particularly focus on watches. The reason why I'm wearing this one is because I haven't reviewed it yet and wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek for you subscribers. And then also Formex is really focused on motorsports, and that's kind of where they came up with this proprietary suspension technology. As you can see, the case will actually rise as I flex, which adds it gives you a little bit more comfortable status, but also one of the nice things that it does is that it actually helps shock proofing the watch. So really nice. Definitely keep an eye out for this. And that is what's flopping around on my wrist while I review this excellent knife. Now, the Civivi Exarch, this thing's awesome, guys. Take a look at that. It is extremely just kind of slim. You got, of course, a very symmetrical look, very simple look there. It's actually a front flipper as well, so you can see there this isn't going to cause any chaos in your pocket. Very slim design, so your hand's going to be able to navigate past it very easily as you're reaching in. There's nothing to really catch or upset your hand from that standpoint. Now, some details about this particular knife. As far as the blade goes, it's of course Damascus steel. It's a drop point. It has a nice high hollow ground grind on it. It is satin essentially with kind of polished finish. So you can see there it does radiate really nicely, and then you can see here the spine of the knife has that nice satin finish, and it actually even has a very clean micro bevel, as you can see. So nice broken end there, really beautifully done and finished there. Out of the box, it's pretty sharp, guys, and then it does have a very nice sharpening choil here, which you can almost use as kind of a forward choil if you want to kind of get into some, kind of detailed cuts there. Now, as far as the handle goes, it is G10 here. It even has a G10 backspacer with an integrated lanyard hole loop there. So it's nice and out of the way. If you don't use a lanyard, you're probably never even going to notice it. So they didn't drill any holes or anything like that. As you can see, the G10 is actually contoured here, which does help with grip, even though this is kind of a stick shape. Because of kind of the wideness of it, even though it's quite slim and whatnot, it does give you a nice amount to grasp if you kind of look at it from this aspect here. So it is really nice in the hand, and of course your hand doesn't really have to wander on it. You can get the full 4-finger grip. It feels really good in the reverse here. So really nice. And then if you want to get into some more like kind of EDC or more like focused kind of cutting there, that it does obviously, because it doesn't have like a bunch of crazy contours in it, it's going to be pretty easy ergonomically for your hand to get around this thing and grip it. This is a liner lock, as you can see there, and even and one thing also is all their liners, of course, are milled out, so that does help with the weight. And the finishing on the liner inside is actually pretty nice, guys. Look at that. It even has a little bit of sheen to it, which I wasn't expecting. But I think that just goes to show really how nicely constructed these guys are for very, very little money. As far as overall length, it's about 7.33 inches long. That blade length is going to be just over 3 inches at 3.22. Closed length here for the handle is just going to be about 4.11, and then the weight is only 2.6 ounces. As far as comparables go, guys, you know, as far as recent and also front flipper, you can compare it to this guy here, my Pena X-Series front flipper. As you can see, this is quite a bit longer, so you're getting a little bit more of a usable blade there versus this one. Obviously, I love this guy, and it goes with me a lot of places. One, it doesn't have a deep carry pocket clip, and two, it's this is a lot more expensive. This is closer to $400, of course, but absolutely gorgeous. M390 blade steel, very limited, sell out very, very quick. Great action as well, but you're going to get a little bit something more usable and something that for me is more of a, you know, something you can carry. I think as far as comparables go, a really nice comparable would be this guy here, which I haven't, I did review this a while back, I want to say, and this is the Boker Mini Kwaiken, the special tuxedo with the basically the little bolster style there. And these guys size-wise are very, very comparable, guys. Look at that. It's almost an exact match. Also, of course you're seeing the theme of the carbon fiber. Here you get the marbled carbon fiber, the bolster lock. You know, it's a good look. And as far as that footprint goes, it's very, very similar, except here you do of course have the drop point there. Also, these are both hollow ground, kind of a higher hollow ground, much even higher to the next level here on the Civivi, but it is quite nice. And then I guess for control, of course you could compare it to one of my favorite knives with carbon fiber, my small Sebenza in Singo. And as far as you can see there, again, similar footprint. This thing though, of course, is going to be a bit thinner. And then you can see the nice rounded spine, but this one does have a nicely beveled spine there, so I think it does show that there is attention to detail as far as, you know, the finishing. But you can compare, of course, this is a piece of solid carbon fiber versus just a carbon fiber overlay on top of G10. But again, huge price difference, closer to $400-500 versus under $100. And arguably, as far as the looks go, I mean, this thing is a looker. And then of course you got the deployment style, which is front flipping, which is, I'd say, a lot more fidget friendly versus you know, your standard Sebenza, which you know, you got the thumb studs. It's of course very smooth. It's like it's on glass. You've heard all the legends, and much like Han Solo, yes, the legends are true, all of it. It's a great solid knife, but it's also very expensive and honestly quite simple for what it is. So of course it's only a matter of time before other companies come along and start offering, you know, similar packages for less money, you know, I mean, or just things that are updated and just feel a little bit more special. And yeah, I mean, God, that thing is just given a clinic on design. But here, as you can see, the design of this guy is really great. In hand, it has that kind of classic broomstick-like ergonomics. It does have some the nice, of course, the contouring here, so you can get a little bit of extra grip if you need it. So it's not like super slick or anything like that. Yeah, it just feels good in hand. You get the full 4 fingers. The action is very smooth, very snappy, because it is on caged ball bearings for the pivot. So that's pretty much ultra smooth. You can see it drops down pretty easily. Hits my nail, thank goodness, instead of my finger. The detent keeps it nice and snappy, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, not launching all the way out. I guess you could, if I try to control it a little bit, try to break it and then hold it. I could do a slow roll if I wanted. So in case there's, you know, people that are just afraid of knives in general, you can actually deploy it quite slowly if needed. But for me, the real star of the show was one, the action. The deployment on this is great. This thing, it kind of meets really those core things when you think about your EDC. One is it's very slim and pocketable, carries deeply, fun to fidget with as far as deployment, very quick, and you know, it can stow very quickly, and then you know, it has some wow factor to it. It's a handsome piece, I'm not gonna lie. So as far as model variations go, they do have basic G10 models with D2 steel for about $50, guys. So if you thought this was a great screaming deal, you can get it in D2 basically for around, you know, just under $50, and you just won't get the carbon fiber overlay. There's one like a gray G10, which looks outstanding. It's a couple different colors. Basically, there's black, I think there's a blue, and then of course the gray that I mentioned. They might have even more other colors as well. But this thing is a solid piece. So I mean, if you're not, you know, if you think $80 is way too much to spend for a knife, you'll still get a lot of joy out of the basic model with the D2 steel, which is a great tool steel. Has, you know, decent edge retention. Not the most stainless steel thing ever, but you know, it depends on how you take care of your knife. If you're going to be diving with it or taking it into salt water, you're probably not going to want to use D2. But for most of you that are just going to pocket it and cut open the occasional box or, you know, mail call whenever it happens, you know, this thing is really going to be perfect for you. Now, as far as kind of comparable options, it's tough to find a comparable to this just because of the price point and the quality. But it's funny, the only one I could really think of, you guys definitely can comment down below to let me know if there's anything you think of. But I would say from Civivi, the Isham McKenna, which also has a Damascus blade version. It's a $90 front flipper, so just about 10 bucks more expensive than this. It's slightly smaller, and it has a sheath foot blade, and has more of an organic shape to it. Basically, the handle scale a little bit more curvy. This is definitely more minimalist and more kind of stick-like, but at the same time, it does have a great amount of symmetry to it, which means it's just really handsome, and I think really fits the bill for you know, a gentleman's knife. This thing is perfect groomsman gift status. This is something that, you know, if you're not a huge knife nut, you can appreciate Damascus blade. I guess it's kind of like watches, right? Like there's guys that don't know anything about watches, but you show them like a skeleton dial and, you know, the automatic, and they're going to be able to like that. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing with Damascus. You show somebody who's not even a knife nut a Damascus blade, and they're going to be like, wow, that looks really cool. So that's really nice. And honestly, I'd say the bottom line on this one is it really dethrones the Boker Plus Urban Trapper as far as my pick goes for the best gentleman's folder under $100. And that's saying a lot because that thing was sitting pretty for quite some time, you know, but I think brands, of course, now are really starting to catch up and offer you that value proposition. Of course, you know, another comparable from Boker Plus, apart from that Urban Trapper, would be the small Kwaiken, the Mini Kwaiken. They actually have upgraded those to D2 steel. This one has VG10, which is a nice steel and everything, but the D2 is definitely a little bit more respectable, I guess I'd say, from a tool and kind of edge retention standpoint. Although this will take a really great edge, you know, it's not the most expensive steel, honestly, for the price of these. These are over $100, even if you get like the standard one. And then also these are quite heavy in comparison, because this isn't a bunch of titanium. This is actually all, you know, a bunch of steel in there. So a lot heavier from that standpoint, versus here you get a really nice, light, compact, great carry. And so yeah, this one was a really nice one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.